All right, kids, here we are again, and we're going to be working on lesson 4 in our very first review unit. I turned that off because I didn't think you need to see me. Look, right here with my mask. Okay, but you don't need to see me for this. Okay, so if I can get all my stuff together, I'm thinking about doing. All right. So now I need to annotate. All right, so we're talking about proportions, and I know this is a review, but because so much is different, Ms. Loxo and I decided not to just completely jump right in like we normally do, and we're going to do some review work. So a proportion, this is a huge idea in terms of the rest of 8th grade math and proportional and non-proportional, is an equation. Remember, an equation has an equal sign that states two ratios are equivalent. Change the battery in my pen so it works a little bit better. All right, to determine whether a pair of ratios forms a proportion, check their cross products. This is where the pre-algebra comes in. All right, so here's our equation. Remember, it says a proportion is an equation. And so we have to have that equal sign in here. So we're going to say if A to B is equal to C to D, then the A, whoopsie daisy, hang on, where's my eraser? Oh, there it is. Okay, then A times D, you see that's our cross products right here, A times D is going to equal B times C. So in algebra, we would just write it AD, we don't need to write that multiplication symbol, equals BC. So our cross products, that is bringing in the algebra portion of solving, checking for proportionality. Okay, so I want to make a note here because in 7th grade or probably in 6th grade at some point, you learned that there are other ways. So cross products, that's one way to check. We're going to look at another way in just a second, and you can then do whichever one is easiest for you. Sometimes doing cross products is the only logical way, okay? It's only one way to check for proportionality. So right off the bat, we're going to do number 1. And this is, we're going to use another way for number 1. So on this one, you might be able to tell right off the bat. I'm going to go ahead and write 5 to 6 right here. And if you notice, 5 times 4 equals 20. And also 6, same thing, times 4 again, equals 24. And so this is another way to check for proportionality. If you're doing the same thing to the numerator and the denominator of the ratio, then that's going to be a proportion because that's going to state these two ratios, this one and this one, are equal. Make that more clear. This ratio is equivalent to this one because you multiply top and bottom both by 4. So sometimes if you notice that right off the bat, you don't have to do their cross products because both of these are two methods of checking proportionality. All right, so let's look at number 3 then. So you might notice then, I'm going to put 9 to 7 right here, and you might notice, okay, 9 times 6 really does, this is times 6, really does equal 54. And what do you know, 7 times 6, so we're going to come right over here, times 6, and that actually does equal 42. So we do have a proportion here because when we multiply top and bottom by the same number, we get what they have told us over here. Let me go back up to number 1. So yes, this is a proportion. Yes, this is a proportion because they indeed are equal. 9 over 7 really does equal 54 over 42. 5 over 6 up here at the top, and I should have done this at that point, really does equal 20 over 24. All right, so let's go down to number 5. So number 5 on this one, I'm gonna make these notes here, and you should as well, so you can remind yourself of what we've done. This is not an easy relationship to see. Okay, it's not going to be right off the bat one of our number facts from 3rd grade, 15 times something is 42. We didn't learn that. That's okay, you don't have to, because you've got your calculator. We can do our cross products. And so we can say 15 times 56, and we're checking to see if it is equal to 20 times 42. If you'll notice, the numbers I'm using here, I'm using the cross products, the ones at opposite corners, okay? So if you do 15 times 56, you get 840. And if you do 20 times 42, you get 840. Those are equal. The cross products are equal. So yes, this is a proportion. All right, let's check the next one then. So you might notice 0.5 goes into 1.53 times. Okay, so you could do that, but it might be easier. Well, I don't know if it's easier. You can do whichever way you want. So we'll look at it. We'll do it both ways. So if we do this, we've got times 3. You can check that on your calculator. 0.5 times 3 is 1.5. But then we're going to do 18 on your calculator times 3. You're going to notice right off the bat, it does not equal 40. So this is not a proportion. The answer here is no, it's not a proportion, because when you do 0.5 times 3 and you get this, you would have to do 18 times 3 to get 40. But 18 times 3 does not equal 40. So we'll put like well, I'll show you how it works. It does not equal, okay? So if we did the cross products, we would do 0.5 times 40 and check to see, the question mark there, if that, wait, hold on, pause, stop recording. Okay, I'm sorry if you heard that voice, that was Miss Pruitt. All right, and then we're gonna do 18 times 1.5. So when you check that on your calculator, you're going to see half of 40 is 20, because 0.5 times 40 is 20. And we're going to see that 18, where's my calculator? 18 times 1.5 is not 20. It's 27. So the answer here still is no, it's not a proportion, because their cross products are not equal. All right, please make sure you have all this written down, because as you know, I have to erase it so I can scroll up on my PDF. So pause the video if you need to, write all this down, and then I'm going to scroll up. All right. So now we're going to work again. Okay, so now we're going to solve the proportions, solving. Okay, so back up at the top, excuse me, at the top we said that their cross products would be equal. So this is where the algebra part comes in, okay, because we're going to force the cross products to be equal. We're going to make it a proportion, okay, and it says it's a proportion because it says 16 over 12 does in fact equal, there's our equal sign, x over 3. So there's two ways you can look at this. We're going to do the easy way first. You might notice, oh wow, look at this, 12 divided by 4 is 3. So all I have to do is 16 divided by 4, and that tells me x equals 4. Now, If that way does not come naturally to you, if that is not easy for you to see, there's no worries because we have our calculator and we can do it on there. So let's set up our equation. Remember, we set up our equations, we show our work, and so we're going to do our cross products. Let me erase that first of all. I made a mess right here. Okay, so we're going to set up our cross products, and look, we're going to do 12x. So let's make sure now. We're going to put variables on the left for now. You don't always have to do that, but this helps us keep our work organized. Okay, so variables on the left, 12x equals 16 times 3. Okay, so that means that 12x equals 48. Then you recall from your inverse operations in 6th and 7th grade, we're going to divide by 12 on both sides because this says 12 times x. So to undo that, we divide by 12 because division undoes multiplication. Undoes. Do you hear what I just said? Undoes. And we're going to divide by 12 here. And so then these divide out to be 1. And so again, if you use your calculator, 48 divided by 12, x still equals 4, no matter how we solve it. All right, let's do the last one on this page. So remember, variables on the left, so we're going to always do that part first. Wherever the variable is, we're going to put that part on the left. So it's going to be 5 times w equals, and we're going to 6 times 26, which gives us 156. Then we'll do inverse operations and divide by 5 on both sides. When we do that, that divides out to be 1. And so W equals 31.2. Please notice how we've shown our work here. It is crucial in 8th grade that you develop right now the habit of showing your work neatly, putting things where they're supposed to be in the equation, because if you don't, later in the year, if you get in the bad habit of scattering your work, you won't keep track of what you're doing and you'll end up with wrong answers. You can trust me on that. I promise it's true. All right, so that's the end of that. Make sure you have all these notes before you turn off the video. And we will see you in class.